Army and all these people. So they said, look, the British intelligence and the secret society say, look, we were successful in doggone India with Gandhi. So therefore, they came and picked Martin Luther King and taught him all the Gandhi stuff. He said the shit was based off Gandhi. Right. You see what I'm saying? He was a government agent as a counter-revolutionary for the other stuff that was going in because they had foresaw the 60s. They saw it in the 50s. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, he was a counter-revolutionary, and it was a black woman who was a spiritual seer, who could see into the future, and she knew that this man was a counter-revolutionary, and that's why she came to the meeting and stabbed his ass. You see? And this is the energy that they're giving you right now is this whole Martin Luther King bullshit. And they're deifying him, and I should have showed, I got on some videos. Did you have on the videos when I showed the paper where they got Martin Luther King with the crown of Jesus on his head? Yeah. So they're deifying him because even they talking in ITC over there that Martin Luther King is the Messiah for white people. And you should see the King Center now. You would think it's Disneyland. You get on the number 3 bus and just go down to the King Center or go down Auburn Avenue and look. When you get to that King Center, it's all white. You see, this is very key that you understand this. Now, let me show you something. You got Martin Luther King Streets in every city, right? They are patterned off the Martin Luther King Street in Atlanta, which is the main one. Now, we know that this thing is all masonically coded. Guess where Martin Luther King Street is in Atlanta and where it starts from? It's just like Chris Rock said, his crazy self, but he made a good observation that everywhere you go in Martin Luther King Street, there's a whole lot of violence and a whole lot of death and a whole lot of crazy stuff going on. Degeneration. Well, it's an energy that's going on with these energy fields, and you must understand this. Guess where Martin Luther King Street starts in Atlanta? It starts in the Confederate graveyard. All you gotta do is go to Atlanta. You see you see Martin Luther King Drive. There's a part where it leads towards the colleges. You go the opposite way downtown and keep Martin Luther King Drive and don't get off it. And sooner or later, you will end up in the Confederate graveyard where Margaret Mitchell is also buried, who wrote Gone with the Wind, that bullshit, called the motherfuckers Pope and all kind of stuff, and big fat Hattie McDaniel stuff, and this whole energy that they put on black people in Hollywood for years, and they tried to cook with Oprah, and Oprah lost weight, and white people lost their mind. So they had to get a new woman. So they got Star Jones, you know, to sit in all these where you sit with all these other white women, and this new woman they got, she's talking about forgive and forget. That Aunt Jemima type energy. But anyway, the Martin Luther King, the Martin Luther King street starts in the Confederate graveyard, and then they name all the other ones. There's some real deal stuff going on. You got to be on top of the game and what's actually going on. Now, I mentioned yesterday, and I wanted to go back into this, that they stick these needles in pregnant women in their spine. They call it an epidural or whatever this thing is. And let me tell you what they actually do. This is some scary stuff. That's why you got to, like I told you with any stuff that's going on in the hospital, the stuff that you're going to have to go get is Michael Palmer's books, all 7 volumes, but you're going to find those books not in regular doctor's places or not in the regular science places. They're going to be in the science fiction section. And that's the key now. That's the way they put things to make sure that they can keep a certain amount of Negroes out in a large part of the population. Because you ain't going to bear witness until the man say, well, you know, the doctor come up and tell you. So all the stuff that's going on in the hospitals, you will find it in Michael Palmer's books in the science fiction section. He's the one that wrote Extreme Measures, and they made the movie out of that book. So anyway, what they do with this particular part now. Now, for some people, it doesn't happen with all black people, because some black people have a higher energy, and they can override certain things that the white man tries to do. But what this thing does, for most very poor black people and people that they want to get rid of on population control, they do one thing. They stick that spine up in there, and they stick that needle up in there, and what they do is they will extract the DNA from the fetus, or from the baby. Then they will literally clone a baby from that DNA and put it back in the body on eggs. Then kill the original host and you will have a baby and it will have everything, but it just don't have a soul. It'll be like white people. So 10 years later when the shit grows up and you don't understand why you got a monster running around in your house, you don't understand that the government killed the original one and made another one. This is some real serious stuff. What the key about this kind of stuff here is, this type of stuff is, we're not really interested in whether you believe it or not. It's just a matter of a certain amount of things that have to get out here. You see what I'm saying? And it's not trying to prove nothing or whatever. We got enough information and enough bibliography to document things. Even the Bible says, blessed to those who read. There's a good book on cloning. There's one you're going to get in the science fiction section. It's a white book that's got blue letters that say clone. And it's different authors. It came out in March. You want to go to science fiction, it's a little $5 book. And read up on all the stuff that's in there because science fiction is now science fact. Now there's some, here's one that's coming, we got it from the library right here, which is a new book, came out in '98. A woman by the name of Gina Kolata, K-O-L-A-T-A, Kolata, K-O-L-A-T-A, Gina Kolata, and the name of it is called Clone, The Road to Dolly, and the Path Ahead. But it's Gina Kolata, Clone, The Road to Dolly, and the Path Ahead. So that's one. So we give you documentation, but a lot of things that I've been saying over the last year, she got some of the stuff about Hitler, first inventing this stuff, for Star Wars, it's all on one page up in the book. So those are just documents. We document that type of thing. But they literally will kill one baby and put another one back there. This is a form of genocide. So why you say, well, why didn't you have it going anyway? Well, the whole thing is a smoke screen. Well, when you're saying, what's the difference? Because what's happening here is, they understand, they said that by 1990, basically, the Kundalini energy that was rising in black people somewhere in the mid-80s would peak by 1990, and if they didn't take a certain amount of people off the planet, they wouldn't be able to live on it. It's like natural selection, where the stronger dominant species kills off the other one just by energy alone. The animal kingdom does it. Whereas in the animal kingdom, any mutant animal in the animal kingdom, the other animals kill it. You see what I'm saying? Or they use it for bait to catch other animals, or they either use it for bait where they can kill this one so they can get away. So this is some various stuff that's actually stuff going on. Another thing that's going on is the funeral homes. The white people are buying up funeral homes all over the country. Now what they're doing is this. They're buying up funeral homes all over the country because the most precious thing in the universe now is melanin. He who controls the spice controls the universe. That's the movie Dune. The movie Dune is about what? Melange. Space travel is vital for it. Aging is vital for it with it. Moving without, traveling without moving is vital with it. This is called melange, the most precious substance. Go read the movie Dune. He who controls the spice, which is melange, and elixir, melanin, controls the universe. So therefore, they understand based on memory banks that there's a lot of black people that were born at the turn of the century, that was alive in the 1930s, 1920s, and the 1900s, that's dying now. Some of your older stock. Plus you got brothers in the 60s and in the 50s that's keeling over. So therefore, the government said we can't let that kind of melanin go to the grave. We can use that. We can use the memory bank, and we can use this particular source. This is some advanced stuff. So therefore, they're buying these funeral homes, and they might have black face, but they don't come in and they'll get the vital organs out, mainly the whole gate of Zion. The Zion gate that I told you, the gates of Zion is the pineal, pituitary gland, hypothalamus gland. They get all that out. And they can reproduce the memory and all this type of stuff. Go see the movie Dark City. How many people saw the movie Dark City? One of the greatest movies that came out. And they show how they took the memories and they can build memory based on shooting stuff in the third eye. This is what's going on. So therefore, they don't have to. What's that, brother?
I was going to ask you, but then, when they shot it in his head, why did he, how come he didn't get affected? what made him so special that he couldn't get affected?
Well, see, what happens is this. It's simple. You have the original black stock. It's been here since the beginning of time. Then you have a seed that they sent in from the outside to be here that has got a little more energy in it. That is a protected seed that will spark and ignite the other seeds. I'm going to get into that deeper in a few minutes. So anyway, he was one of those ones that was one of the chosen ones for that particular thing where they say every now and then one of us wakes up. They say, well, you know, everybody's asleep. Every now and then one of us wakes up. Well, guess what? Congratulations. You the motherfucker that woke up. And one day they had two men in the movie that woke up. They said, every now and then one of us wakes up. Well, based on the conscious community is 0 point something, congratulations, you're one of those people to wake up. For whom much is given, much is required. It's not talking about physical things, but the mere fact that you can comprehend this thing and say, this nigga here is scaring me. And the mere fact that you come here and you want more and more knowledge, that means that your soul is very advanced. So that means you need to start living your life as a very special person. It's not a matter of arrogance. You should expect you should expect greater things to happen, and you should look at yourself as a very elite individual. Because we give this test on all through the country I go. I ask the people, conscious people, this question. When you was a little child, did you always think you were different than everybody else? Raise your hand. There you go. And I get that same response. So therefore, you need to start looking at yourself as unique individuals. But with unique individuals, it's not for you to doggone look elite towards the people. It's for you to understand the people more and understand that whom much is given, much is required, and become a servant. That also means that no matter how much an asshole black people are, you need to humble yourself to them. Because why? Because you are acting as an adult to children. You don't get mad because a child does some things. You try to understand when he's only a child. And black people are only pathological grown-up children at large. Permanent children. That's what they turn us in. That's what black people are, permanent children. So therefore, because you have a form of knowledge that's greater, a form of, for the mere fact you are aware of things at this time, you're supposed to be their protectors. Sometimes you got to keep them in the ass and put them on their way because you know they don't mean no good. Just leave them alone. But my point is, it's not for you to be arrogant. And what I mean by that, as soon as you get conscious, every time you go home and your people don't know nothing, every time somebody says something the wrong way, you ready to jump in their face because you know a little bit of knowledge. You jump down their face. Then they start hating you. Say, I hate that old nigga there. And so you done lost that person. You see what I'm saying? No grown person that's a child likes to be taught anything. So you must understand them and try to have a greater understanding of the people. You understand what I'm saying? But then again, on the other hand, you're supposed to hate ignorance also. That's therapeutic for your own ass. That means that you don't supposed to be around ignorance. You understand them when they come in your path, but you need to fuck all these motherfuckers that don't mean you no good as far as not your home. But I'm talking about just good people that come over and they don't want to hear this shit. There's an energy feeling. You got good people that say, well, he's good, no, he's good. And I understand that there's a certain time you got to spend with your people. I understand that. We're not talking about being fanatics where you shut yourself off from the rest of the world. It's a balance thing. Two extremes is just as bad as the other one. They're both extremes. We're talking about an understanding, but there comes a time whereas you got to look at it the way it is. If sometimes they invade your space by being ignorant. You see what I'm saying? So it's a double-edged sword. You got to balance this whole thing out. So now, going on. Something I was going to say here. Yeah, I want to deal with a couple of things right now. So what this white boy is actually doing is they have actually gone in and because they got this cloning thing down, they have gone in and tapped in and taken the DNA from the mummies and brought back some of these pharaohs and brought back some of these people. But what happened was that what they didn't realize was that the pharaohs only have a limited amount of knowledge. They were royal subjects. The priests never mummified themselves down there. See what I'm saying? So if they didn't bring back a priest, they didn't bring back nothing but an honorary god. There wasn't a priest to notice. So they couldn't believe in the Bible a little bit, come from ancient fragments, so there's a lot of truth in the Bible. We know that. Because we can go back into the Bible and find certain things. It's just a matter of how you look at it and what kind of conscience you define, you know to find. But in the Bible it says in the last days the knowledge will increase. You see what I'm saying? So don't think that the cracker don't do it. So what happened was, they said they know that they are different away from us. They know, you might think that they evolved from you up in some ice age and that bullshit. Diop knew better. And Diop was going to reveal that, and that's why they took Diop out. You didn't know that. They killed Diop on the plane going back to Senegal after he visited, was it Senegal? Where was he? Dakar. What was he? Senegal. Going back to Senegal. They poisoned that Diop on the plane. When the plane touched down, his wife came to the airport. They looked, they called her in. They say, look, this is the deal. Homeboy dead. Now, you don't want the same shit to happen to you. You go back. We're going to announce in about a month or so that he's dead. And by the way, we want all that motherfucking papers. If you give up the papers, your ass dead too. And that's why he say, okay, here, all your papers to the French government. And she gave all the shit up. They killed Diop on the plane, and then they announced to their, now this is going too far. Because you can go to any kind of Negro zone, you can go to the Caribbean, you can go to Africa, and you can do things. But when you start going to the people in the United States, the black people over here, then you got problems. So you remember they tried to kill him before with the airplane thing a year before. But they snook him out. Then they learned that Diop was in town. And remember, go get great African thinkers. Remember, Andrew Young gave him the Diop Day, and what, key to the city or something? Or gave him National Diop Day? But Andrew Young is what? Trilateral Commission. His motherfucker took it. Then they took this fool. Where did he go to? He went to the damn King Center. You know Kings is some great old government clone niggas. The King family. This is the same King family where they went to the same King family in 1968, and they opened up that package and they showed King fucking some white women. They said, now you goddamn don't. If you press charge, they told him, if you call for a jury trial, remember it was never a jury trial. They said, if you call for a jury trial, we're going to put these shits in the paper of King screwing these women. It's going to break the whole movement. And them niggas say, okay, cool. That's why to this day, them niggas is cool with white folks. You think if I caught you King, son, you know how much power that would be? Man, you couldn't tell me shit. Man, you talking about a revolutionary force. I might have a harem. My point is, they put them white women up there. Shut up. So when Diop went to, they took me to the King Center. And these all the Afrocentric niggas too stupid. It was their man and other the dumb niggas in the town didn't know who he was. They took the nigga to the King Center. And the King Chapel and Morehouse and all that stuff. And they took him right to show where the government was. So he evaded the government to come and dwell with the government. And so when they came back, they killed that nigga. Now how I know? Because when my mate went to, when we both went to the mounds, went to an Indian reservation, went to the mounds in Tennessee, they turned my mate on my sister, they turned her on psychically. And boy, all kind of stuff was coming in for the first couple of months. And so when we got back home, this girl, 22, she didn't know nothing about it. And she had it down to the T and explained all the stuff. But then again, we knew that he had some other things based on some hominid stuff that he was doing.